Okay, welcome to Dig In Where You Are, Resetting Your Goals. This is Jennifer Hernandez. We've got just a quick infusion of some structure and some tactics to get you back on track. So dig in where you are, resetting your 2020 goals. So we're just going to dig in. We're going to get started. The webinar is going to go, we're going to go approximately 40 to 45 minutes. We are also recording, so this will be sent out after the fact as well. Okay, so today what we're going to cover some mindset tactics that I've gathered over the years in a very hard way, and I still struggle with a lot of them. We're all humans, so we got to get the mindset going. We've got to rid of distractions. I've got some tactics around that. I've got some other tactics. Really, I'm going to spend kind of quite a bit of time in task management because where we spend our time and what keeps us on track is super important. And also, I've got a couple of secret weapon tactics to getting you more business now. And then tracking your effort. I've got a trick on tracking your effort. Once you start to attract a lot of business comes in, and then it's like, oh my gosh, how do I follow up with the business, right? So we work hard to get these prospects in our lap, and then it's like, oh my gosh, I got to keep them. I cannot mess this up. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. So there's the chat button, the question button. However you ask me a question, I'll get it. We do have everybody muted just for the quality of the call. So feel free to just chat, and I'll definitely get your questions on there. So before we start, I do have a virtual sponsor. Azúcar Loca is a coffee company here in Houston. I'm really wanting to support local business. Roger is a really good friend of mine. He's amazing, and he's got this amazing coffee called Azúcar Loca. Lots of cool flavors. So at the end of today, we're going to spin the wheel. All the participants that came on, we're going to spin a wheel, and you will get some Loca bucks. So to order some coffee. So you can just order it online and get it in the mail. So that's going to be super fun. I love Roger's logo and his vibe, and super, super fun. And his coffee tastes really great. So thanks to him. All right. So we're going to dig in. We're going to start with mindset. So this is something I really struggle with personally. I really love to be in the zone. I unfortunately have an addiction to being busy. Raise your hand or nod or comment or something if you're with me, but that's something that I really have a habit of. I do have a few really good habits though, but I'm gonna tell you guys those here. So I've got a few of my favorite books in the last year. I do a lot of Audible because I don't sit still long enough to read. I have found out I love to read, but Audible is the next best thing for me. So The Surrender Experiment, I just finished. It's really good on Audible. He has a really calming voice. I think it was why I was so attracted to it. That's about really surrendering to just life's flow. There's so many things that happen that we have no control over. So that was a really good book for right now, actually, during all this COVID stuff. Chop Wood, Carry Water, I loved it. Have my teen reading it, and then there's a sequel called Pound the Stone, but that's a really great book about just, we've got to do the same things over and over and over and over. Kind of remember in The Karate Kid where it was, wax on, wax off. Well, it's that line of thinking. So that was a really good reminder of doing the really small things over and over again to get the results. It's not the big things, it's the small things that you do repetitively. And then I really enjoyed There's No Plan B for Your A Game. Bo Eason, coaches sports heroes. And so he really had a lot of really good things to say. And that was really a really good book. No Plan B for Your A Game. It's about stepping up your game. So all of those are really great. The other thing is podcasts. So whether you're walking to get some exercise or working out or whenever you listen to podcasts, I actually really like to listen to podcasts. I'm working on just turning it on and you know, I've got so many podcasts I want to listen to. It's like, okay, where do I start? So I'm in that right now, just finding more time to work in to listening to podcasts. So, but the ones I've enjoyed too have been great. Ed Milet is great. If you're a lady, I heard that Rachel Hollis has a really good 90-day challenge right now. So Rachel Hollis is really good. There's some people in the industry that I really am anxious to hear as well. So Chris Bello is a young new agent that I'm actually in a mastermind book club with, and he has a podcast. So I'm going to look him up this weekend and start listening. He's got so many cool, fresh things to offer that I'm excited to listen to him. So anyway, find some podcasts. We are what we feed our mind with. And so I have turned off the news. I am not watching but maybe 10 minutes of news a day, if that, because it's all pretty much the same. I just get the bullet points of what I need. I just don't feed that bad wolf. I feed the good wolf with all positive things. You know, over here, I've got a picture of someone reading, working out. So whatever these relaxing things are for you, I'm really working on being less busy. I'm this 3-day weekend, I am going to relax. Not the whole time. I'm going to have to work a little bit on Saturday, but I'm going to do it. I need to just have more downtime. So that's what I'm working on. Okay. But think about the things that you're not doing that you keep saying, like I need to do more of this. I'm going, and change our language with, I am going to meditate for 5 minutes a day. I am going to put on my calendar to read 30 minutes a day, or listen to the Audible, or etc. Okay. So challenge yourself with that. Okay. We are going to go over distractions again. Q&A button if you have any questions. Okay, the phone, social media, all of it. Email, it's just a complete distraction. So a couple of tips that I use. The phone, you could either turn it over, just put it right down. Because when you see a text, and I did it a little while ago, actually, before this webinar, I was like, oh, I want to answer her. I also just found out that you can read text without showing that it's read. At least I have an iPhone, but I just found this out a couple weeks ago, because sometimes I leave text and I'm afraid to read it because, you know, you can't flag it like you do email. Like once you read it, it's not highlighted anymore, so you won't remember to go back to it. But if you hold your finger down on the text, it'll open up and you can read it just to see the sense of urgency. And then you lift your finger up and it stays, like it'll stay, you know, it'll stay as a new text. I just found that out. So if you didn't know that, that's really been super helpful as you're deciding what to respond to and what not to respond to. If you have someone that you can turn your phone over to, if you have an assistant, I suggest that you do it. When I know that I'm going to be disengaged or in something else for more than an hour, I will give the phone to her. Also, she has on her timer, we just started it and I love it. At 9, 12, and 3, she comes in my office every day and she grabs my phone. She listens to my voicemail and she reads all my text, and then she writes it all out for me, and she'll highlight the ones that I need to look at first. It has been super helpful. So if you do have someone that you can do that with, that's great. If you're at home and you've got a teenager, make them do it. Like, I don't know, I'm just thinking of things that you could do to delegate. Hire your teenager for the summer to work a certain number of hours a day and come and help you with some of your distractions. Email, either delegate it if you can, or something that I've had success with, creating subfolders. So I'm an email, I freak out when I have too many emails, okay? I'm not one of those 100,000 emails in my inbox. That would just stress me out. So I got to get it out of there. I do have a folder, some subfolders I've created. One is called Agenda Read. And then I have on my calendar every Saturday morning, I have a big banner that says, sweep my Agenda Read folder. So things that come in your email that are like articles, or my Friday interest rate update that I send every Friday, or, you know, things of interest that you know can wait several days for response. It's just more like studying, implementing. You don't have to respond right away. I would drag it somewhere else. so that you leave only the most important things in your email. The other thing, you can create rules. I use Outlook. I'm sure in other Gmail and all that, you can create rules as well. So creating rules to send it to the subfolder, create rules to go to the deleted folder. It just takes time because we all get spam, we all get junky stuff. So you just have to take the time, maybe on a Saturday, to just, all right, once and for all, I'm going to create these rules, right? So put it on your calendar, okay? If you have a team, daily team meeting, that includes a virtual team. I know lots of realtors that have a virtual, virtual assistants that work really well. Right now, some of my assistants are actually virtual for a couple more weeks, staying at home. But whatever your team means to you, having a daily team meeting. If it's just you and you're just on your own and you don't have a team, have a meeting with yourself. So I usually consolidate my notes the night before while it's still fresh. But the first thing I do in the morning, and in fact, I did it this morning. I'm going to hold up my notepad. Oh, I don't think you can see it, but it's here. It's got a lot on it. I create like little columns for myself. I have 3 columns at the top that are always the most important to me. So for me, it's locks that I'm going to lock that day, contracts that I'm going to receive, urgent items. And then the next column that I have are applications that were received, yesterday that we need to do a credit call with, and then documents. So people that actually did the documents. Because for me, it's a different type of urgency or a different type of a call. If they do an application with credit only, that's one kind of a call. And then the documents is another kind of a call. So the documents need to be reviewed. We need to have a call with them or a Zoom call to review everything. So whatever that means to you as far as your milestones in your business, I put at the top 3 major categories. I'm just a notepad person because then once it gets messy and I highlight, I can consolidate it. However you organize yourself, doesn't matter. I'm just giving you a couple things that really work for me. So have a daily team meeting with yourself, okay? Social media. I must say that I'm very good at not going into social media. I have people that do that for me. Michelle is actually on here. Thank you, Michelle. Love you, girl, for that. We were having trouble commenting and getting back to everything. So a couple of quick tips for that. I actually hired someone just through my sphere. I put out a little Facebook, hey, I'm looking for this, and found someone she's a new mother. She's got a newborn. She goes into my Facebook or all my social media from like 4 a.m. until 8 when everyone's sleeping, and she comments on all my stuff. So, in Facebook, you can create a friend list, like a top friends. And there's 50 different people that I have in there that I want to have on the radar. She goes there to those people and she comments, and she sees who's having a birthday, or she sees who's, having a baby or whatever, and feeds me the information. So she'll comment for me. She'll help me out. So if you need to delegate that, if that's something that's overwhelming for you and taking a lot of your time, there's people that need to work virtually right now, and you can come up with a system. You can delegate certain things about your social media, and then they can feed you a report of what you need to very most pay attention to. So I do have some good delegation on social media that, you could come up with a calendar. You can have someone doing posts for you, ads, things like that. So I'm not going to go too much into that. It's not a social media class, but I think that we're all doing a few things that consume our time, and we could really be delegating. And I don't pay a lot for, the person that I have commenting. It's very reasonable. It's reasonable enough to where it helped take certain things off my plate so that I could focus on some, generating activities. Okay. All right. So the next thing we're going to go over, my very favorite topic, is time management. I love time task management. It's really not time management, okay? It's task management, because we can't change time. We only have so much of it. So I really put a lot of things in my calendar in the day that I'm working, because I want to get it all done. I want to be efficient. I want to stop working, as much as I can, right? I want to be with my family, do the things that I love. So I've got some tactics to help get you organized. The very most number one tactic that I can encourage you to do is to set a start and an end time. Like, example, every day I'm going to start at 8:30 or 7 or whatever time that means to you. It could be that Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you start at 9, but Tuesday, Thursday, you start earlier. Maybe there's a Saturday in there. I don't really know what that means to you, but decide based on your ideal schedule when you want to start working. And because I just think when we have that time in our heads, that's when we start working, I just think it opens up a lot of possibilities as far as when you get started each day, okay? So what I'm encouraging you not to do is just sleeping in without an alarm, just waking up, when you wake up, and then just kind of getting to it. So the people that I know that are getting the most done have a start time and an end time. They have a purpose, they have a mission, and they're on it, okay? So work on that. All right, weekly schedule example. Yes, my schedule, this is not my particular schedule, but this is actually the schedule of a realtor that I know that I'm in a coaching group with. But having no white space during your day is just amazing. So if you're a person right now that does not adhere to a schedule, you're not time blocking at all, I really encourage you to take baby steps to do it. You've got to start small. You can't just go cold turkey overnight, because it does require some training, but you're not going to run a marathon after never having run in years and go run 26 miles. It doesn't work that way. So I would start with some just certain things. I would put a lot of things recurring in your calendar. I would definitely get a week at a glance out. I'm sure you can get one on the internet, or just open up Microsoft Office and get some type of a week at a glance. And I would print it and I would pencil it in, and I would kind of say, okay, these are the days I'm going to work and these are the times I'm going to work. Notice how here this person has, family time is yellow. So on my calendar, actually, family time is yellow as well. And she goes to the gym every day at 7. That's her. And then her planning time, her meeting with herself, is every day at 8. So every day from 8 to 9, you could do things like sweep email, make your to-do list, revisit your goals, 3 things you're grateful for, your gratitude time. So that's your quiet time in getting things together. Then she has team meeting from 9 to 10. So if you don't have she has a big team. So you may not need 9 to 10. You might need 9 to 9:30. Okay, mine is 9:30 to 10. And then she's got green time. So green time calls would be, green time is money making time. So what you could do is say, look at all her green time. She basically has time when she wants to have coffee appointments, and this can be virtual, by the way, now. So Tuesday, Thursday, her themes are to have coffee and lunch with people, okay? So you could essentially block that out and say, okay, Tuesdays and Thursdays is when I'm going to proactively, when I'm doing my lead gen and I'm calling past clients, or I'm calling, leads, or whoever I'm calling, I'm going to place them in those areas, right? So for her, Tuesday, Thursday, set up a 20-minute virtual coffee with someone, Zoom, okay? So we're not, we're limiting when we're going out and meeting people, I think still getting a little bit back to it in Houston, but some of these things can also be virtual. So basically it's face-to-face with people, okay? So that she also has when she wants to do listing appointments. Now I want you to remember, calendar time blocking is, it's meant to adhere to 80% of the time, okay? So it's not 100% of the time. So put your preferred schedule out there, code it into your calendar, and then get used to just saying, okay, what am I supposed to be doing? Let me look at my calendar. Okay, so every day I only print a day at a time at a glance, because that's what I'm doing today. So she knows that she wants to do listing presentations Monday, Wednesday at 1, and Tuesday, Thursday at 4, or from 4 to, that's her late day. She actually goes into the nighttime. So her late nights are Tuesday and Thursday. You can see that there. She has when she has her family time. She has when she has her date night. So her late nights are Tuesday and Thursday. She leaves at 5 and has personal time on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So this just gives you an idea. It totally can happen. So think of what changes you might need to make regarding your schedule. So the reason that this has to do with dig in right where you are is because focusing on how we spend our time is a huge, huge part of that. Mindset is probably 60 to 70%, I can tell you. But the second thing is really having a day filled with purpose. And I wake up every morning jazzed because I know exactly what I need to do. I use the calendar explicitly. It always tells me what I need to be doing, what I need to be focusing on. And then I have purpose. I'm getting in, I'm getting out. I don't even have time to think about it. And I do not have white space on my calendar. So if I look a few days ahead, like I think yesterday, I did have some things on Tuesday that were overlapping. So we already have clients that are asking for Tuesday. And so we was like, oh, I gotta, move stuff around. It's 3-4 days ahead of time. So I went in, realigned things because things cannot overlap. It's impossible. So made sure I deleted what was unnecessary. So you obviously are visiting this on a frequent basis, but I just trained myself to know that my calendar gives my day purpose, and I have all the things that I want to do, whether it's calls or meetings or paperwork time. I put in paperwork time as the red time, as my planning time. When I know that I need to do something, I put it in. Notice how she's got drive time in there. You've got to drive to your listing appointments, right? So need to account for all those things in your calendar. And then at the end of the day, you have this huge sense of purpose that things have gotten done. So I'm going to answer a question. Power Hour. I'm glad that you asked. We're going to go through that in a couple of minutes, actually, in a couple slides. But Power Hour is an hour that you are powering through calls. So I'm going to give you some purpose on that. I've actually got some topics. I've actually got some topics on the subject that is Power Hour. So I'll tell you exactly who to be calling on what days. So very good question. Okay, so again, we're going to sum it up. 4 big tips to a daily, weekly schedule. And we're going to move on actually to Power Hour. Print a physical copy of your schedule every day. I know all of us are using our phones and all this stuff. However, the phones are super small. I have made a mistake before and I thought something was at 4:15 and it was actually at 4, because once you see it on, you got to really blow it up on your phone to really see what time it is. So I do a lot of scheduling myself in 15-minute increments because that's how I fit in my new lead calls, to do an intro call to talk to them about the next steps. So in an hour, I have 4 15-minute calls. So I do a lot of little appointments certain times on my calendar. So I like to have it printed out. Let's just be succinct about that. No white space. I encourage you that the day before, look at the next day, and if there's white space in there, fill it with something. That project that you've been meaning to get rid of or whatever it is, no white space. Start by mastering one day. So start small. It does take time. On my YouTube channel, I do have which I'll go through at the end. I'll show you on my YouTube channel, but I do have another webinar about time management. So I know I've gone over it a lot here, but it super is important to keeping you on track and helping you just get in, back in the grind. We've got to love the grind, y'all. So love what you do, because if you don't love it, well, then do something else, right? So how do you get back to loving the grind? Being on task, being in it, having success, that's going to keep us going. That's what we're working for, right? So I believe if you can harness your day, you're going to start feeling that mojo to get that mojo back, okay? And stick to it. It is hard to train yourself to go to your calendar every single day. I know, because I coach top lenders around the nation for a company called The Core Training, and I've done that for 8 years. I've had over 150 students, and they all struggle with it. I struggle with it still to this day. I've got a lot of really, really great tactics, but mastering the success of your day is the number one, for me anyway, it's the number one key to me feeling good about myself. that I'd accomplished something. So I stick to it. And if I mess it up today, I say, well, that's over. Tomorrow's a new day. I'm going to roll with it. And this is what I'm going to do differently. And I'm going to be on task. Okay. So good luck with that. Okay. Lastly, we're going to go over the things, what to time block, and then we're going to move on to power hour. So, I think that I have answered the question. Thought we had a question, but I think I answered it about the power hour. All right. Oops, sorry guys. My little mouse is scrolling. Okay. What to time block. So make sure you put everything in there. Personal time, family time, date night, power hour, calls, appointments with clients, team meetings, admin duties, drive time, basically everything. In fact, I'm so addicted to putting everything in my calendar. I put in there when I have to go to Walgreens and, HEB and all that stuff. Okay. Because I'm just training myself to do it. I'm used to it. Put do not, this is not power hour. Wrong label on the slide, but we're just going to roll with it. Put do not disturb sign on your door if you're in the office. I hate to be interrupted, and don't let distractions get in your green time that we actually are going to talk about power hour right now. So when I'm in the zone to make my calls, I'm in the zone. Like, I got to clear my desk. I got to turn off I've got to turn off my email, because that little guy keeps popping up in the corner. You can turn that off on your computer, by the way, the little pop up on email. It's just an hour essentially every day that you commit to powering through. That's why we call it power hour. So I've got some theme days that I'm going to share with you. That'll just give you, and if you're watching this and you're not in a real estate business, you can just do your own theme days and get the hint of what that could mean to you. So this could apply to any business. Okay. So ideally, the same time every day would be great for your initial calendar. I know things have to move around, but I think that getting people after lunch, kind of a 1 to 2 is usually good. Late afternoon, actually, on Fridays, kind of a 3 to 4. People are usually in a really good mood on Fridays on those theme days. I just think, Monday morning at 8 o'clock is not the time to do a power hour. So depending on maybe the theme of who you're calling, you can just kind of gauge as you go through it, what time of day you are getting people, when they're going to be likely to answer. Okay. So want to help you get prepared here. So this applies to realtors. It can apply to anybody. You can change the titles. Okay. So Monday, top 50 VIPs, your favorite people. If you don't have a VIP list, get one. I will send a webinar on VIPs. When I send the attendees, I know who attended. I have your email. I will send y'all the recording of this, and I'm also going to send you another webinar from a top realtor that is how to create a VIP list. So no matter what CRM you use, even if it's Excel, identifying the people that are the most important to you. It could be builders, bankers, investors, property investors, really the top people that refer you business. Okay, if you don't have 50, start with 10. I'd rather you have 10 really good quality people than have 50 that just are miscellaneous people. So these are people that you would have a meal with, that refer you, or you super want to refer you, that you're starting that relationship with. So we've got to pay attention to those people. Tuesday is status calls. So this is really important, and I think it's a good sales tool for you. Again, no matter what business you're in, Tuesday status calls. So I tell the realtors, I update realtors in the transaction when we're under contract every Tuesday until closing, so they know what to expect. You could tell your listing that. You could say, look, this is what, I know you're interviewing 3 people. I appreciate the opportunity. This is something that makes me different. I'm super communicative. And one of the things I do to do that is on Tuesdays, I update you the status of everything. I make sure we know what happened over the weekend and then what's coming up for the whole week. I do it by emailing you a summary, and I'm going to reach out and call as well. So you could do it that way. Also updating any buyers, any hot, any pending buyers that are in your car for the weekend or going to be for the weekend. You know, people that you know are very active looking. That's a great day to follow up with them as well, even though they're not on contract yet. Okay, so Tuesday is people that are in contract or very soon, like pulling the trigger within a couple weeks type calls. Okay. Wednesday, hot leads. That's really everybody active. It's the gonna buy in the 1 to 3 month category. I would say people that you know have been pre-approved, you know that they're qualified. You're actively talking to them, or they're actively opening up, you know, on the MLS, they're actively seeing things. That's a good day really to call them. Also follow up on any cold leads. So I would do the hot ones first. I would just kind of get in your groove, get in the mojo, keep going, calling, get, you know, have that list ready. And then also cold leads, you know, any leads that are unconverted, anybody that you need to follow up with. Also looking back. I'm going to give you something at the end on just kind of something to help you track leads if you're looking for something that's super simple, super simple. So revisiting anybody that's unconverted. Okay, super important. Thursday, top pass clients. So if you don't have 50 top pass clients, start with 10. Again, this is a way to get through your clients. If you have a list, if you have more than 50 past clients, narrow down the list to the most favorite. So I've got almost 4,000 past clients, but some of them have made it off the list over the years because they've moved or not interested, or they think I'm spamming them or whatever. Okay, so I have a list right now. It's about 2,500. I drip on those, you know, every once in a while, the 2,500, but I only call, I have a top 50 list. So as you get more clients, put the favorite ones that you know are more likely to refer you. They would be on your top 50 past client list. Similar to your top VIPs, they're your top 50, okay? So call 12 of them on Thursday because you want to get through your top clients every 4 to 6 weeks, okay? So you've got an hour, call 12 of them, you know, 10 to 12 of them. When you're done with that, you could also go into your other database. So you've got your top 50, but what about the ones over 50? So you've got a list. You could do it by alphabetical order. You could say this week I'm going to call the A's. You could devise it by year. Like this year, I'm going to call everyone that closed in 2019 or 2018 or 2017. So you could segregate it by year. So however you do that, just come up with a system, be organized about it. So if you know every day who you're supposed to be calling, it helps you be like, all right, I'm not just opening up the database, dazed and confused and wandering and spending the first 15 minutes of my power hour, like, who am I supposed to call? You know who you're supposed to call because you follow theme days, okay? Now, Friday is a day for cold calling, new business people, builders. So keep a list going for your cold call day. Have a folder or have it on your phone or whatever you do to where as you're going through your weeks, if you get a card or a lead of something that you want to do, know that that power hour is on Friday. So Friday, people are in a good mood. I've always found that's really just a good day to catch people. Everyone's excited to just end up the week usually. So Friday, cold calling for new business. So have a place where you can put those names when you need to follow up. I mean, it's cold. They're not, if you get the card on Tuesday, they're not going to know it if you didn't call them for a couple of days because you've never talked to them before. So why don't you put all that in one place to where, okay, today's Friday, I've got my cold calling hat on, and that's who I'm going to call. I think it's easier than calling a bunch of random people in the same day because, you know, your days flow. We ebb and flow in our mood on days, right? So gear yourself up to use these theme days. I think you'll really, really enjoy it. And I would love to know your success with it as time goes on with these theme days, okay? So try it for a week, stick to it, and then see how you feel. I think you're going to feel super, super productive of having an hour of outbound activity. And the realtors that I know that do it are having more success and they're having more stuff to work on, and they're out there in the market generating leads so that they can meet their goals. Now, any questions about Power Hour or anything? Just again, Q&A or the chat button, most definitely. So we're going to go through Lead Tracker. I'm going to whiz through it. Some of you already have a way to track your leads. I know there's a bunch of fancy online stuff, but if you're looking for something that's kind of simple, what I would like to encourage you to do, I'm going to send you a Excel spreadsheet. It's super easy, and it's meant to have a new sheet every month. If you're a person that just wants to have it printed out, to have a piece of paper, you can change it by typing, keep it on your computer, but then like have one for October, have one for November, have one for December. And I've got some codes that I've been using. I've been using the system for the last 10 years. I have codes that I code people. So that's what the acronyms down are at the bottom, and I've got definitions there. And again, remember, you're going to get this PowerPoint in the email. And so if you are watching this later, then email me and I'll send it to you. So CCR, PCR, PC, personal friend, realtor. You can get leads from other realtors, guys. Advertising, business people, and builders. So everybody that gets referred to me fits in one of those categories. Those are the only categories I use, so that at the end of the day, I can have a tally of how many people in that category are referring me. So I'm going to send the Lead Tracker to you in case you're looking for something new when I send the email. I'll also send a video on how to use it in case you're interested in that system. Again, you might have Boomtown or some other CRM, Salesforce or whatever. Whatever it is, use it and find a way to really track your leads. So I think that's really important. And a lead is anyone that you have a phone number and an email and or one of the other four that you could potentially follow up with. Okay. So I did get a question, so I'm going to answer that. When do you schedule social media time? I actually don't, because I delegate it. So Michelle does it for me, and then we also have that sub person that does it. So I schedule time with Michelle once a week. Once a week we go over what I need to know, and she gives me updates and asks questions and all that. So I've delegated it. So if you do delegate it and have just someone that you pay to do it for you, have a meeting once a week where they're feeding you what you want to know. Okay. So again, I've got Michelle that manages it for me. She does my posts. So like what I do is when I run across an article or whatever, I send her an email and then she just organizes it on her end. So if I didn't have someone to delegate it to, I guess I'll answer the question in two ways. If I didn't have someone to delegate it to, I would drag articles and stuff to a subfolder in my email, and I would set a time on my calendar. I would definitely do it on the weekend because I do not have time during the week. All my time is spent converting the buyers that y'all send to me during the business hours, every single second of my time. So I do not have time during the week. So I do it on the weekend when things are a little bit more calm. That's when I would do it. And if I were to do it, being on short on time as I am, I would definitely do once a week and schedule out my social media stuff. So I would definitely calendar time block that. So I hope that helps. But think about getting someone that you can delegate to, honestly. I think there's a lot of young people that are home for college. They need jobs. Jobs right now are super scarce. I think there's a lot of really smart people out there that can do posting better, much better than you can. And you can pay them, $10 to $15 an hour. There's a lot of young people that can do a great job. So anyway, okay, a couple of things. We've gone over quite a few things. I want you to right now, before we leave this thought, just write down on your notepad 2 or 3 things that you are going to implement that you might have heard that could really take you to the next level and just get you back in the grind. Okay, so put it down. And so I really think, in my opinion and in my experience, that revisiting the basic things like how I manage my time and how I feed my mind, whether it's through exercise or food or podcasts, etc., those things help me revisit my goals. So schedule time in your calendar once a week to visit, look at your goals. So do like a goal review and make sure you're on track. Look at your effort from the last week. Look at where you're going. So I have all that scheduled in my calendar to revisit with my team, so we always know where we are. So all of that is on the calendar. So that really is the secret weapon, y'all, is the calendar, having 1 hour of proactive time, and keeping your mindset. Those three things are the very most important. So I really appreciate you guys being on. I'm going to go over just for those of you that want just a little bonus, I'm going to show you where you can get some mortgage type education things. I do have a YouTube channel. I would love you guys to subscribe, because that's where I'm going to put, like, this webinar, for example. I'm going to share screen here in a second. That is where I place things. So if you go to Loan with Jen in YouTube, I have several playlists. I've got mortgage programs. I've got programs in education. I'm actually in the process of renaming those, but I've got business tips. I do a business tip every Tuesday that's kind of like a coaching tip. I've got FHA loans, credit scores and credit, podcasts that I do, webinars for business education. That's where I'm going to place this. So that's where you're going to find my time management. So, I'm still devising my playlist to make sure they're really super user friendly. But the bottom line is I post 2 to 3 things a week. I'm very big and passionate about education, not only for your buyers, but also for you. So please subscribe. I would love you to, because I really want to educate you and just help you get to the next level, whatever that means.
Legacy Mutual Mortgage is an equal housing opportunity lender. The opinions expressed here do not reflect those of Legacy Mutual Mortgage.